Welcome, Chris Evans Radio, and we are back with little shaven Dave.
Right.
We both took our facial hair off.
Yeah.
So, I know you told me it was hot as hell where you were, and yeah, I'm sure it's driving you crazy.
hmm
Yeah. So you are in the depths of prep now, which is great. Each check-in gets drastically better.
Yeah.
So, like that, as I think you and I talked, like that's what the fun part of this is what, at least for me, I always think about is what the off season's for. Like, oh hell yeah,
Yep.
every little bit layer of fat you just drill off, you get to see all that hard work come to life, and it's like hell yeah. Like, I don't know, it's super rewarding. If you constantly keep your head in a positive mind state, as
hmm
opposed to, it's so easy. I think we've talked about this plenty of times. It's so easy to get negative, and the brain always leads the body.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you're dreading cardio or eating your next meal or your next work set, like, I don't care what anybody says, it's not the same level that you're going to be able to achieve performance wise is if you welcome that and say, hey,
hmm
I am choosing this life. I am grateful to be in this moment in space and time, and I might not have this many times here ever again.
hmm
I think so many people just take that shit for granted and think, oh, I'm going to prep for the next 10, 20 years. And it's like, this could be your last prep effort. You don't know how your life's going to work out. You don't know what's going to
Yep.
lead to a certain direction. And I mean, I know for most people inside of 4 weeks is hard and crunch time and where you tend to feel the most sorry for yourself. But that's where it's fun. That's where you wake up every morning and you see new change. And you get in the gym and you're like, man, my strength didn't drop one bit, I actually got stronger. And it's like, fuck yeah. And it's just, as you and I talk, it's 6 meals a day, it's 1 to 2 cardio sessions a day, it's one training session most days, and just
hmm
checking that box. Boom, boom, boom. And you go to sleep. You're like, oh hell yeah. Let's wake up and do this bitch again. Run it back.
hmm
Just a different body part.
Yep.
And I don't care what anybody says, like, if you don't love that process, it's time to find a new hobby, man.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Like it's like if you can't fall in love with the process of doing that, like who said there's a quote somewhere around there. It's like it's all the people who go hiking and they get to the top and they realize they missed the entire fun part.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know?
I think what so many, and I think I've had a lot of interesting life experience that taught me this lesson the hard way, is it's so easy for us who are singularly focused on being better to always look like, what's the next phase, what's the next step, and not be present. And you're always thinking about, like, hey, what next prep, what can I do better, or next off season, where can I build towards? And it's one of the things, I know I've told you this, and I think I've posted it online before, but it's like, I would have filmed every single session I ever trained with John if I knew I was only going to have until 2 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
I envisioned still banging it out with him until I walked away from bodybuilding. And then we would still link up and train until we were both old and decrepit, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things, I know that sounds kind of grim, but it's the truth. It's why every time you come to town, I have Chaz film, right?
Yeah.
Like, you never know, like, one sleeping weird or car wreck or like weird spinal tweak for me, and I may never be able to train hard with you again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's get that shit on camera, man. Like, so we can look back and be like, 20, 30 years from now, like, man, like, I remember that shit. And it's clear as
Right.
day, we have it on film. Like, so for all you guys and girls out there who are in the depths of it, and that can be pre-contest or that can be all season, man, because I think you and I both agree that off season is more challenging because it's not as rewarding, like day to day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think,
it's gonna feel like the same exact thing
yeah,
a million times in the off season.
yep,
And the even best part is like you may not look the best. Like you'll have days where you're like, yeah, that was a good pump. We can, hell yeah. But there's gonna be other times where your brain's gonna fuck around with you and be like, wow, I'm fat as fuck, And there's not gonna be that day to day change
mhm,
at all. Like versus in prep, like, You know, you change your carbs up by 50 grams in prep, you notice that,
Yep.
you know?
Agreed. And it's because that body is so much more hyper responsive, right?
Yep.
In the way we do supplements, ramping into the show and try to use as little as we can in the off season, like it doesn't look as sexy, right? Like, and plus, what I've always found is when the fat's off, everyone looks bigger
Yeah.
for the most part. And
Oh,
there's
yeah.
exceptions, like say Derek Lunsford in the off season, right? Like where that dude is just insane, and we all saw
Yeah.
that, right? Like most of us don't walk around like that in the off season, like looking that hard and full.
Yeah. I love, he's got to probably have like when you really look at it, it's like this guy has some of the best genetics of just body fat distribution.
Yes.
Like, other than when he's getting into shape contest wise, his upper chest carries more body fat.
Right.
That's the last thing to come off for him.
Yeah.
But in like full off season mode now, everything's pretty even.
Yeah.
Right. He's not carrying more body fat in his midsection
Mhm.
and less in his arms or something like that. It's like all pretty evenly. So like the fat he does have doesn't look like as much because it's spread pretty evenly.
Correct.
You know, it's actually it's crazy to see.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's also why so many people prefer his off-season look to on stage, because it's
Yeah.
just he's so blown out
Yeah,
that
he just full.
right, and even his glutes are hard. Like there's no, like you said, pockets of where it's like, oh, that's where he carries all his fat. It's
Mhm.
so if you aren't one of those genetic outliers, once you remove that fat from your shoulder, arm, upper trap, that becomes so powerful and apparent when you have some blood in there. It's like, oh shit, like that looks. I don't know. That to me has always been like a superhero look to me that I always craved as a young kid. Is like I
Yeah.
wanted that like trap delt arm to just be blown out and just like look like just creviced and cut in so deep. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's the shit. Like where each day you wake up and it's like, oh, it's a little deeper. Oh, it's a little bit more fibery. Oh, it's a little bit more like, especially like I'm sure you know this. Like if you get body work done, like all that shit just comes to life because it gets good new blood flow. And it's like
Yeah.
Adrian will always be like, man, he's like, you look fucking crazy right now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like I just worked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, so embrace that, like live in it, cherish it, because in the grand scheme of life, we'll spend way more time in all season than we will looking
Oh
like a
yeah.
freak.
Easily.
So I've always, I say always, that's not true. That's a lie. The more times I've prepped, the more grateful I've been as
Yeah.
accepted. And in my early 20s, I think I was just happy to be there. So it was like this excitement because it was new. And then I went through this period of where I just got my teeth kicked in and I thought that I had to be miserable to look great, and that was false. And then now on the back end of my bodybuilding, I'm trying to really embrace like, hey, like if we have 5, 6, 7 preps left, or 2 or 1, like let's just relish in that shit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think that kind of leads into one of the topics you had for today was overcomplicating bodybuilding, because so many people have these like preconceived notions of how they should feel, how they should look, what they should do. Like one of my masters guys today, he's in his peak week process, and he was like, "When are we pulling clean?" I was like, "Why would we do that?" He's like, "That's what everyone else has done with me before." I'm like, "No, we're not doing that." And it's like, he's like, what do I need to do tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Just send me your photos and your update, and I'll tell you what to eat." And
Yeah.
it's like for you and I, that's so easy because like, hey, I'm going to send my update at 6:30. He's going to send me exactly what to do for the day, and then it's going to be planned. And
Mhm.
I may have a rough idea in my head of what I want, but it's solely based upon how you look.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because there's a lot of times where I'm like, I called that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not like it's rocket science. It's like, oh, cool, we lost a big chunk of weight and I'm flat. I'm like, can we afford to have food? Yes or no? It's like,
Right. Yep. Yep. And that's one of those things, like I gave you food. What day was that? Sunday?
yeah,
So, yeah. So Sunday, it was like a blur for me because it was Mother's Day. And the day
yeah,
before, my dad and I did like 8 hours of yard work.
oh yeah,
Yeah. So that was after coaching baseball. And then coming right home to that, oh, I got my damn teeth kicked in. So we loaded you with food on Sunday, and then I mean, those are some crazy post-load photos, and then you looked drastically improved come Monday morning for your fasted photos, and you had reported what I'd seen in the photos is your legs were still a little dead, and
Yeah,
I said, "Hey man, just jump in a nice bath," and that's only because I would have fed you again. Like I could have done either or, and I was
yeah,
tinkering around with that in my mind to go back to back feeding days. But in my mind, like I really wanted to stay on top of that gas pedal, and
yeah,
just explaining to everyone who's listening or watching, like I want to have you fully ready by show one, so that we can literally just spend time growing into USA's.
yeah,
So I want all that fat to be off. Where
yeah.
a lot of times, what I may do in a situation like this, if a guy's more open to it, is I'll like try to bring you in about 90. If I'm putting percentages on it, like 92, 95%, not try to hit a home run, just look crazy, but
Hmm.
not peaked, and just treat like any other day. Because it's one of those two philosophies. And I'm not saying one works better than the other.
Hmm.
But for you, for this one, I'm like, let's just get all this damn fat off, and that way it's no stress going into USA's. And
Hmm.
you were in such a good spot all off season that that I think heavily depends upon a factor too, right? Like I think your carbs are what 140s on a training day,
Hmm.
140s, 147 if I have to get if you
Yeah,
ask that under my head. With
yeah,
that, I'm not looking at it, but that's my memory. Um, so we are pushing fairly aggressive for you. And I know like it's just you're almost there. So
yeah,
I just want to stay on the gas a little bit longer. We'll probably feed you. I don't know. You'll send your update tomorrow morning. So again, it'll just depend on your look, your stage weight,
yeah.
or stage weight, your fasted weight, and then where you want to be. So I'm fully confident that it's going to work out. And either way, like, either scenario would have worked. And I mean, what you told me, you're like, man, that was perfect on the ice bath call because it brings your legs right back to life.
Hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
So
Wakes you up. Nice, nice little wake up.
yes. And for all those people out there who may hate on ice baths or not understand them, I can tell you this from someone who's done them since they were 16. If your legs ever feel dead and tired, 6 minutes and it's hell getting warm again after you get out of it. But once you do, you wake up the next morning and they feel like they're fully back to life.
Hmm.
We used to do that for football. It's just second nature to me. The first 2 minutes are hell. The last four, you can't really feel because everything's numb.
Hmm.
Control your breathing, and that's it. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on ice baths and get away from this topic. But when you told me that was an idea you wanted to speak about with like overcomplicating, like what's some of the first things that come to mind for you that you see?
Dude, I don't know what it is, but lately, every time I go into the gym, the shit I see, which drives me up a wall, is there'll be a hammer strength machine with a 45, a 10, a 10, a 5, and a 2.5 on it. And it's like, first off, did you do 5 fucking sets here? Second off, couldn't we have done this a little bit better?
Yes.
And it's just like trying to strive for this like perfect set, perfect rep or whatever,
Yep.
versus like just going in and doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you go in and it may not be the perfect thing, but you give it the perfect amount of effort,
Mhm. Yes.
it far outweighs the benefit of doing imperfectly 100 times.
Right. Yes. Agreed. And you know what's funny about that is someone just commented on one of our videos a few weeks ago, and it said, "I really want to thank you for talking about owning the rep." And I think sometimes people may get confused when they hear you and I speak about training because it's like we want to go perfect form and then a little bit past it, right? And I'll give you an example. Today I was doing flat hammer strength press for chest. I hit like 8.5. I mean, just drilling textbook form. And then I did probably the next three of like what most would consider like half reps to three-fourths reps, where I was just ramming that bitch out as hard as I could. And then I just sat in the hole and stretched. So on the outside looking in, it's like, oh man, why did you do 8 perfect and then 3 more like bullshit half reps? And it's like, well, there was more in that chest to be milked. And I
Yeah.
think that's what a lot of people are just missing. It's like they think or assume that if every rep isn't 10 out of 10 execution, that everything has been failed. And at the same time, you and I aren't suggesting like garbage reps. But if you've been to the end of a set, you know that like things just change a little bit.
Yeah.
That set of T-bars you post is a perfect example, right? I don't remember the rep total, but it was like you did perfect execution and then you did some partials and you did some dead stops and then your back was done.
Hmm.
So maybe speak on that. Like what goes through your brain when you're doing that? Because I know what goes through your brain, but I know people watching probably don't.
Well, it's just that, like, as soon as I couldn't get any more reps as perfect as possible, like if I stopped there, cool. I'm gonna not. I won't sleep at night if I stop there.
Yeah.
Because as you saw, I still like the funniest thing to me is like we never know. Like that's why partials happened.
Yes.
If you saw that, like I went back down with it and then drove up and then I hit that point, and I'm not just like instantly giving up either. If you notice, like it goes up and
Yeah.
it's like a gradual stop slow, and then it's like okay, cool, that stopped moving. Let's try moving it again.
Yep.
And then when that does, it's like okay, reset. We can pull from the floor again and give it a little bit more oomph. Like yes, yeah, I'll be using some hip drive here for sure,
Right.
but at that point, like I'm in a safe position. Like, you could argue, oh, whatever, oh, you're gonna jerk or whatever. It's like, well, I mean, that's where I think a lot of things get misunderstood. Like the proper biomechanics and everything has its place, and everybody should be doing that.
Yes.
But what options do you have? Because to train a muscle to pass failure, to make that response of growth or change, right? You have to take it somewhere it's never been.
Right. Yep.
So it's not going to get to a place it's never been easily.
Right. Yep.
So that perfect form, like, yes, you can get there and hit failure, but you have to take it just a little bit further.
Yes.
So you either have a spot,
Right.
someone help you get that, or you slightly change your mechanics and just oof, just rip it up a little bit. Because you're still controlling that negative on the way down.
Right.
And
You know,
that's the extra little oomph that body needs to see, oh shit, let's make some changes.
I'll tell you where I really learned that was, do you remember in the older John programs where he would write croc rows into it?
Yeah.
Well, if people don't know what croc rows are, it's just like get a heavy ass dumbbell and find it to your rib cage as many times as you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the progression of that set, right? Typically for me is like you gotta get a little angry with it and rip that weight. And it starts, at least for me, pretty sound. But most people on the outside would look in and be like, man, those are pretty good reps. And then it kind of turns into, okay, cool, like lats starting to fatigue. Let's start getting a little bit of trap in it. Okay, cool. Arms starting to fatigue. Let's get a little bit of leg drive in it. And then you're just ripping it with everything you have, and you don't give a fuck what muscle is pulling it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's usually, I can't remember how many reps one of the ones that John had us do, but it was 20 or 20 plus with
Yeah.
like 150-pound, 160-pound dumbbell. And it's like, you just had to find it. And so many would look at that and be like, man, that was stupid as hell. Like, why would you just lock in and do perfect form step forward rows? Okay, yeah, but there's some time and place for precision. There's some time and place for just brute strength. And that delineation is so hard for people to understand because they think, oh, I fall on one side or the other of that fence. And it's like, we want to live right on the fucking top of that fence.
Yeah.
Like, you and I are going to jerk through straight arm pull downs, but we'll jerk some damn dumbbell rows. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's really hard for people to understand. Like, okay, cool. Like, next, let's go to do, if we talk through a back workout for people, straight arm pull downs, we're just trying to activate our lats, get a pump. We're not going to jerk through that. If we do, it's just trying to get a couple more out of there. 9 out of 10, I'm going to spot you to get you through that stick point and give you a few force reps. Pull downs, 9 times out of 10, pretty fucking similar. We're going to hit perfect form reps on our fill sets and then warm up. When we do a hard top set, we may jerk a little bit. I'm going to help you with some force. Then when we do a back off, it's going to be flawless technique. Like, then let's say we go do a machine row. Same thing. We're going to lock in. We're going to fucking pull aggressively. You're going to give me some force reps because you can on a machine row. Where you can't do that, we're going to go next to say a dumbbell row where you and I are going to try to pick up something north of 150 and do it as many as we can until somebody taps. And then guess what? Then we'll probably do a back off with like the 100 and do dead stop rows. And that's going to look really perfect at first. And then it's going to get sloppy at the end. And then we're going to do something probably cute, maybe a Dante row, maybe another machine row, maybe another pull down. And then we'll finish with some low back. Like, so if you look at the course of that session, there is some precision, there's some meathead muscle shit. And at the end of the day, it's a huge pump. And I don't know why that, for some people, seems so complicated or they can't wrap their mind around it. And it's like, how I've always looked at it is like phases of a workout. We're never going to walk into the gym and say, dude, sloppy sets of dumbbell press. We aren't. We're going to do at least 5 to 6 warm-ups. And then we might just drive some weight explosively once we're warmed up. But
Yep.
even you and I sitting back with something north of 140s, most are going to assume that if they're looking from the outside, that's pretty damn spot on form.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to allow heavy dumbbells to blow our shoulders off. But in our mind, like, we aren't thinking about cute and pretty. It's control the negative and throw it through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you and I are never going to rip a fucking pec deck.
No.
That's a recipe for breaking something.
Oh yeah.
You know, now on the flip side of that, if we're talking legs, like I know you're the same as me, we're going to rip a lying leg curl.
Yeah.
Control the negative, and then it's try to rip that machine off the ground. Like, why? Because I've always felt like the hamstrings are a fast twitch muscle, and they need to be just crushed.
Yeah.
At the same time, we aren't like dive bombing that negative to where we could rip a hamstring. You
Yeah.
know, but we're gonna pin a couple quarters on the stack and just crank it. You know, or say let's say we do adductors next. Like, we're going to pin weight on that and we're going to do it explosively, but through that negative, we're going to be so precise and controlled so we don't tear the adductor off of our fucking groin, like off our hip girdle, whatever you want to call that. So it's really interesting. Like, when we talk about training and think about how to break it down, I really wish more people would see down the middle as opposed to right or left side
Mm-hmm.
of what I would consider like execution based versus more sloppy-ish, what most people would consider sloppy form.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know you and I both agree on this. Like, the biggest and best bodies in the world were built with not what most small people call shitty technique.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it's like one of those things. It's like you build up to some things. Like I swear to God, like if you can't skull crush like 100-pound barbell, stop doing single arm tricep push downs.
oh fuck, finally, yes, agreed.
You know, it's like stop it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like if your goal is to grow, like do basic shit. Stop overcomplicating the shit out of it. You're like the reason your tricep isn't growing isn't because you don't have the right angle at your single arm push down you're using 5 pounds for.
Right.
It's like
Yep.
go find a dip and put 90 pounds on you and use and dip until you can't do it and get better at that weekly.
Right. Yes.
You know, I bet you money if you have small triceps, if you figure a way to go to a dip station and rest pause 25 reps with 90 pounds attached to you, if you learn how to do that over time,
Yeah.
triceps probably won't be an issue.
No, a bit. No.
You know, versus like, oh, cool, let's hyper fixate on the outer lateral head of our tricep with this sideways cable, you know, extension, but also realize there's 15 pounds on there.
Right. Yes. I'll tell you guys a fun fact. The first 2 years I worked with John for coaching, for training, I think I did 4 to 8 total sets for the entire 2 years of machine flies or dumbbell flies. It was
Mhm.
all pressing. He said, your chest is small and underdeveloped. You have to get so good at pressing and moving weight with your chest. That's all I want you to focus on. So it was incline dumbbell, incline barbell, flat dumbbell, slight decline, dips. And I'm trying to think. There's one more that I know that I'm missing. Oh, machine press. Yep. And that was it. Those are my chest workouts for 2 years. Weird, right? Now my chest is one of my best body parts.
Yeah.
And it's not because he gave me some magic protocol where I was shooting synthol on my chest. It was get freakishly strong at pressing and use your chest pressing. Okay, got it. Yes, sir. Understand the mission. And I think you agree with this too, right? If a guy or a girl comes to us with small legs, leg extensions are not on the table.
No, yeah, you're not. Yeah. That's like I've said that for years. If you have small legs, just don't do leg extensions until you need to.
Right. Yes.
Like
Agree.
use your energy on something where you can get a bigger bang for your buck.
Yes. Yeah. And I realize that it's everyone, people might see like you, Ryan, doing leg extensions, or John teaching included leg extensions, or some top pro with monster legs just doing lots of them. And it's like they already have most of the tissue they've ever needed to acquire. You need to spend time with a bar on your back, hitting sets of 4 plates for reps,
Mm-hmm.
north of 10. I've yet to see a guy who can do that with perfect form not have big legs, or hack squatting 5 to 6 plates for north of 15, or leg pressing to where your knees are on your fucking ribs for sets of 20 with north of 7 plates.
Mm-hmm.
It's just impossible. You have to remove all of that emotion to what you see people doing cute on the internet and say, hey, in the grand scheme of life, I mean, I can't remember what the most I've ever leg extension, maybe 250 pounds. How in the world do I think that's going to put more tissue on my legs than doing, let's just say, 6 plates on a back off for leg press? By the way, that weight is crushing me and I'm pushing it off me.
Mm-hmm.
Simply fight or flight, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought about that. Like, if you load weight on my back and you drive me in the hole and then I have to stand up with it, that has to produce more force and more growth potential than kicking weight away from my body.
Yep.
I have no scientific study to prove it. I just know what it feels like. Like,
Yeah.
if you and I took a leg extension to the end and then took a set of squats to the end, how fast what would be the differential in recovery from those two exercises?
Oh, it'd be like weeks. It would be like
Right.
difference weeks.
Right. Yeah. Like, and I think when people begin to look at training that way, it's like, oh, I never really considered that. What do you mean you didn't consider that? Like, I've always looked at training that way as like, yes, some cute things may be needed, but for the vast majority of people who don't have the foundational muscle, it's there. Like, I think if you and I wrote down a back workout for someone who's a beginner, it's like pull-ups, bent rows or T-bar rows, dumbbell rows, a machine row, and then a deadlift or a rack pull.
Mm-hmm.
Go get really good at those 5 and see what happens. For chest, it's like, let's do 4 presses and see what happens. Like, it's really not that hard when you look at it as a whole, because we are so oversaturated. And I made that YouTube video about stop doing push-pull legs if your arms suck. And the amount of times that people will continue to comment on that video, it's over a year and a half. I just responded to 3 guys today asking me, hey, design me a 6-day split. No. You need 4. And then it turned into this. Well, what are the downsides of only training the body part once a week? And I'm like, there aren't any downsides. It means you have one opportunity per week to make that body part grow. Put that positive pressure on yourself. I'm sure you feel that same way. I have one
Mm-hmm.
chance a week to make my legs grow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different sense of urgency than if you're like, I have another opportunity in
Yeah.
3 days or 4 days. And you do it again, it's like, I'm going to train again in 3 or 4 days. It's not a big deal. If I miss a
Yeah.
couple,
Yeah.
I've always thought about it that way, you know?
Or the guys who go in, they're like, well, I have to hold back because I'm gonna have legs in 3 days. It's like, this is why you don't progress.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And it's like anything in life. If you zoomed out, remove the emotion and say, hey, if someone came to you with a problem and they said, I'm going to give you 60% effort every 4 days, or I'm going to give you 100% effort one day a week, I'm going to choose the 100%.
Oh
Because
yeah.
logically, that makes the most sense. Like, now, you and I both know, like, there are some merits to frequency,
Mm-hmm.
but if you can't train that body part to the end, the frequency is irrelevant in terms of massive muscle gain.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the grand scheme of life, if you meet someone who has really good genetics, who can eat a good amount of food, and they just like what I'll consider playing in the gym, they can have a very respectable physique. But you notice the first thing I said there is you have to have really good genetics. Fun fact, that's not 90% of you out here listening to this. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're listening to this, you probably don't have that 10% we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to waste your time with this bullshit. Whatever you do works. Like, fun fact, right?
Super
So,
true.
yeah. So I've always leaned into learning how to train the muscle to the end. And then anything we can do in addition to that, if my recovery's there, hell yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it's great. But as you and I know, even if you trained legs really hard and arms really hard, most 9 times out of 10, you are not going to want an off day after arms. Or
Mm-hmm.
if you flip that and do arms and then legs, I'm going to want an off day afterwards.
Yeah. I
Like,
am a firm believer that if you're training hard, you can't train more than 3 days in a row.
yes, agreed.
And the magic land for most people is probably 3 or 5 days a week,
Yes.
maybe even rotating through them.
Yeah. Oh,
Four
yeah.
one week, five next week, four,
Mhm.
and that might mean taking, 2 days in a row off.
Yes.
Blows people's fucking minds.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I can't do that. I'll lose all my muscle,
Yep.
you know?
That and sadly, that's a correlation that so many miss is they think the growth happens in the gym.
Yep.
And if you've been doing this long enough and you're aware of your physique, you know that's not true. Because what I've always noticed is after an off day, I'm like rejuvenated mentally and physically.
Yep.
Body feels great. I'm ready and craving to be back in the gym. Where after 2 super hard days, I'm like, oh, I feel like I need a rest day. I need to
Yeah.
I need to rest. And the difference in accepting that versus powering through is what holds so many people back, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you and I have talked plenty of times, we can always watch one of those Machiavellian motivation videos or somebody posing, hit a pre-workout or a monster and be ready to train. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I hit 2 hard days in a row and you're like, oh, Chris, I'll be in Virginia on Wednesday, I'm like, we're definitely training.
Yeah.
Like I can make it through that. But
Yeah.
is that what's best for your body? Probably not. In terms of long-term growth. And they can't
Mm-hmm.
see that over the course of the year because they're so singularly focused on this week and making all of those 7 days perfect. Where, that's something you and I gave up years ago. Monday isn't back. It may be back. It may be legs. It may be an off day. It may be arms. I just hit arms on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's that to me, the overcomplication of things, as opposed to just taking what's given to us and using logic, is so missed.
Yeah.
And that also leads into the next topic you want to talk about was like bro food versus, I'm assuming, if it fits your macros, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like those two topics always marry themselves to me. Because it's like, if you think about this all logically, if I have, say, 7 different foods I'm going to eat each day, the less ingredients, the better I'm going to grow.
Yeah. Well, it always makes me laugh too, like the random shit what you can concoct with, like, if it fits your macros, will work. Not saying it will not work. It's
Right.
counting your calories is always calories in, calories out is just science, right?
Yeah.
Can't really disregard that. However, there's a lot of things that people just don't realize what they're shooting themselves in the foot with. Like, yeah, we don't need a ton of fucking protein to build muscle.
Yeah.
However, if 40% of your protein comes from non-essential protein sources,
Yep.
do you think you're growing as well as you could? Right? Or what happens when you're like seeing what protein synthesis isn't constantly occurring? It kind of happens when it feels like it in
Right.
your body. What happens, like, I don't know, it happens if you're not eating on a schedule and you just didn't eat for that 6 hours where your body's like, hey, we could build muscle right now. And then there's like, and the happenstance of the amino acid pool in your body is really low. So it's like, well, we could have, but there's no protein in here. So we didn't,
Agreed.
Versus like having that meal frequency. Like there's reasons like the things just work when they like, oh, body, you don't need to eat 6 meals a day. Oh, you can do it in 3. Oh, you don't need to eat that much protein. You can do it with 100 grams a day. I mean, you can only turn, if you turn 25 grams of protein into muscle every day, you'd have 40 pounds of muscle in the year. It's like, yeah, that's super fucking true, but that it doesn't happen when you want it to. You have zero control of when that's happening.
Right.
The only thing you can control in bodybuilding is your effort and your attitude.
Right. Yes.
And like, then, when that and food stuff falls into that. So it's like when you start, eating all these Franken foods, like you got like what's not even name names, but you got protein bar X, what has 60 grams of protein, um, you know, 5 grams of net carbs and 4 grams of fat. But like you look at it and there's like 60 grams of sugar alcohol in there,
Right.
and stuff like that where you just don't realize how bad that's going to f up your digestive tract,
Oh yeah. Yep.
and that meal affects the next fucking 4 days.
Yep.
You're like, man, I don't know why I'm shit blood after eating that protein bar every time, but it's like you probably think it's probably affecting you more than just that too.
Yeah.
And that gets so missed in today's day and age. With that doesn't happen if you eat chicken and rice.
Correct.
You
Yes.
know,
Yeah. You hit on two things that to me are very essential. And this is something I learned early because I listened to so much about Milos. Is he always said, if you have a sponge and you have potential to grow, do you want that sponge super saturated? And the answer is yes. So I've always thought about what you said is if my body wants to grow, I can't control that. But if I always give it nutrients too, it has one or two options. It can either grow or store it as fat. And if I eat what I consider normal, natural, clean foods, my probability to think it's going to gain muscle tissue is way higher than if I eat all these concoctions that people are making. It's really strange to me. Like,
yeah. And
and
we're
you
not in any way, shape, or form saying your food can't taste good.
correct.
I'm
Yes.
not eating boiled chicken and dry rice. Like learning how to cook is a huge part of this game.
Yes.
And learning how to make your food taste good and work for you is part of this game.
Yes.
But just hoping for the best and eating what everybody else is, you think will probably make you look like everybody else.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. It's why, I always bang on Chipotle, right? Like, is it chicken? Yes. Is it steak? Yes. Is it the same quality that you and I get at the store? No.
No.
Is the rice rice? Yeah. But it has 4 tablespoons of oil in it.
Yeah.
And
Well, even Chick-fil-A just switched their chicken grade standards. What they do now allow growth hormones promoting agents what are in their chicken now, which is like, I mean, that's not going to be the best thing for you. But like versus like if you go get, regular chicken, it's not in there.
no.
You get your organic skin, boneless, skinless. It's not in there.
Yeah. And so that's point one of when my body chooses to grow, I want to make sure that whatever's in it is quality so that if I can put on tissue, I am. Because at the end of the day, it's circling back to training, right? Is we spend so much time in the gym trying to kill ourselves, like, and progress. Like, if you aren't going home to fuel that growth and you aren't resting, what are you expecting to happen? You're just spinning your damn wheels, like, or you're trying to gain muscle with a weight vest or whatever, how quicksand, however you want to view that. Like,
Yeah.
it, it doesn't make a lot of sense logically. If you're like, huh, the fastest growing humans are infants and teenagers. What do? Eat, play, sleep. Weird. What if we ate, lifted, and rested?
Yeah.
Like, shocker. Something's gonna happen. Like, to me, the answer has always been obvious.
Hmm.
I think it all stems back to really people trying to outsmart this
Hmm.
and figure out ways to make this all easier.
Yeah.
And
Well, I know I don't want to be a dick, but go look up like Mike Israeli. That dude is fucking smart as hell. Like, I'll give him mad props. He's done a lot of work. And if you go look at his stage picks, something doesn't line up.
that's because
Maybe
protein
eating
bars.
Pop Tarts and protein shakes for a prep doesn't work. Like you could blame it on your fucking peak or whatever you want, your high stress, maybe your cortisol response, you know. But it's interesting what the people who were in shape, they were eating fish and air, and you were eating, protein shakes and sugar alcohols.
I don't know if you heard him on that Fluid podcast, but he was arguing for eating 2 protein bars a day into a show. And as long as they don't bother you, they're fine. There's no better source because all foods are equal in his mind. Okay, cool. Like,
Yeah,
you've never tried it the right way or the other way, however you
yeah.
want to do that, right? Like, and yeah, listen, again, I think there's some individuals out there who probably could get peeled on protein bars. We don't
Oh
fall.
yeah.
We don't fall in that category.
No.
I can tell you this.
90% of humans don't.
No,
It,
agree.
it's always difficult because you get people who can get away with things,
Yes,
and you don't realize what they could do if they didn't get away with things.
yes.
Right. And you get people like me and you what fell in love with bodybuilding because we love bodybuilding. Not we didn't get into this because it was easy for us.
No, no.
Like not most people who get into lifting weights, you start lifting weights because it was easy for you. Like it's why most people pick up hobbies. You either find a reason to love it or you're inherently good at it to begin with.
Correct. Yes.
Right. And then you get those skills and you work them. Like Michael Jordan became a really great basketball player. Dude was also 6 foot, like six.
Yep.
Like that wasn't, he didn't make that happen. That was part of his life. You know, if he was 4'8", he would probably not have been, playing basketball where he was.
Right. Agreed.
He probably wouldn't have even started playing basketball. He probably would have wrestled,
Yes. Agreed.
you know,
Yep.
and it would have been a different story. But the people who find like that's like the pure part about bodybuilding is there's no real like regulations there. Like, so if you want to do it, you can do it. It's like painting,
Right.
you
Yes.
know, like you could. And I personally am not artistic at all. Like if I wanted to draw something, I could probably draw like a stick figure. But I know for a fact if I took time and actually sat down and learned and had people teach me, I can get better at it. I'm not
Yep.
saying I could be amazing, but I could definitely get better at it.
Agreed. Yes.
But if you ever find people who are good at artwork, a lot of the times they have that creative ability, and then that's the fun part of then the time they've put towards it,
Right. Nurturing.
you know,
Yep.
and that's what a lot of people don't see with bodybuilding is a lot of the times people who got into bodybuilding did it because they were inherently good at it to begin with.
Yes.
I
Right.
know I know plenty of people who, they put on muscle like eat picking up weights and eating a chicken breast, they put on muscle.
Right.
That didn't happen to me.
No.
Like yeah, how much I would have loved that to happen, it didn't. But like I had to learn the hard way how to make it happen. Versus that person can get so much further ahead before they have to do anything difficult and then they can act like they have all the knowledge,
Right.
and that's like the fun part about bodybuilding is there's obviously different capabilities,
Yes.
but there's always the same amount of, there's different amounts of applied effort and learning. So there's something more you could learn and develop and grow. And that's untapped potential, right?
Yes.
But you also have your given potential.
It's one of those things I always like to watch that population group once they reach the level of their peers in terms of genetic ability. It's whoever can acquire what we had to do to progress who becomes great, right? Like
Uh-huh.
you take someone like Phil Heath. Okay, he had all the potential in the world to gain muscle tissue. But then he had to meet Hani and say, hey, this is how you fucking go. You want
Yeah.
to win? You want to become the best in the world? This is what you have to do. And he said, okay, cool, got it. Yes, sir. And then when you pair that natural gift or God-given gift, however you want to look at that, with hard work and
Mm-hmm.
relentless mindset, that's when you become the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw a thing once where Tiger Woods was talking about his preparation. And he said, I challenge anybody out there who golfs. He's like, from the age of 15 on, my dad made me hit 1,000 balls per day. Every day, no matter if it was Christmas or my birthday, 1,000
Mm-hmm.
balls were struck with a driver, a wedge, or a putter. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to go to sleep until I did 1,000.
Yeah.
I challenge anyone out there to do that for a year. So what are you looking at? 365,000 shots? Tell me you wouldn't be better at the end of that year, even if you didn't like golf. The
Yeah.
hardest game I've ever played. But I can tell you this, when I worked at a golf course at 15 and 16, and every break we had, we were hitting golf balls, I got markedly better.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm hitting a fuckload of golf balls. And he's like, keep it up. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what you and I do about bodybuilding. So when you pair repetition with passion, good shit always happens.
Yep.
We may not be the best in the world, but damn it, we're markedly better than when we started, or 5 years
Oh
ago,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
last year. Like, and I think so many people fail to realize that. Like the repetition of making your meals, grocery shopping, eating the meals, cleaning up after the meals, and repeating. Well, Chris, it doesn't matter. Like, yes, it does fucking matter. Because
Yeah.
in a year, it becomes part of your life. It's like brushing your fucking teeth. You don't think about it. 6 meals, cake, done. It's over. I don't even think about it. It's part of my
Mm-hmm.
fucking life. It's like checking emails. Like
Yeah.
part of my life. You do it. Guess what? If I suddenly one day woke up and said, "Hey, I think I can get away with 4 meals," I bet getting back to six would be hell. Because
Yeah.
I remember what it was like when I started bodybuilding, and I was like, "Oh shit, I have to eat 4 meals and 2 shakes. That's a lot of food."
Oh man, I remember when I first did it, I was so excited to eat that much.
Right.
Because I came from like a weird spot because like I wrestled and no one told us about nutrition wrestling,
Right.
but like I was always cutting weight wrestling.
Right.
So like I remember there was times like I ate like a can of tuna fish a day for wrestling practice,
Right.
because I had no nutritional background. It was just like, cool, I need to weigh 118 pounds to wrestle for varsity if I want to wrestle varsity.
Right.
Like I'm currently 130, so I've got a week,
Right.
and it'd be like, okay, cool. Well, food is I'll just eat this because like it has like it no knowledge on it. Like I remember waking up and being like underweight, and
Mhm.
I weighed out orange juice to the weight like I could weigh. I was like 117.8, and I was like, cool. I'll do that point two of orange juice. I'll drink that today because it weighed the same.
Right.
Like there's no nutritional background there. That was just like, well, if I eat this and drink this, like that gives me energy, and I'm still underweight because it weighs that much.
Right. Logic, right?
Yeah, but yeah. So like when the concept of like, oh, you need to eat 6 meals, I was like, I'm fucking down.
Right. Right. Yeah. Since that shows you like the two different spectrums you and I came from, right? Is where I was like, I had to like really force feed early on to be able to eat the amount of food that I need to grow. And then others like it's like, oh no, like I get to eat that much. Hell yeah, this is great.
Yeah, yeah,
So Yeah, it's to rein us back into bro foods. Like, I don't care what anyone says. If you eat the way you and I do, and we preach the same shit all the time, eggs and oatmeal or cream of rice, chicken and rice olive oil, like steak and potatoes, and then repeat. Like, I promise if you do that for long enough, you'll feel markedly better than if it's like three kind of bodybuilding meals and then like three snacks.
Yeah.
Like, your performance, your look will change. And
Yeah.
it's something as simple as, I know everyone will say this is bullshit and they don't believe me, but I can tell you personally and with clients, the moment I eliminate shakes from everyone's diet, they instantly get better.
Yeah.
And their gym performance tends to go this way. Explain that to me. Because every smart person will tell you the most optimal protein source is protein shake. You can't beat it. It's the best, Chris. There's something about chewing animal muscle that is different.
Yeah. I would honestly love to. The funny thing, there's a lot of money in advertising, marketing, and everything. Like I've mentioned how like whey protein is just like a byproduct of the dairy industry, what they decided to make money on.
Right.
But if you look about the fucking studies who funded them, when it's paid for by the like, oh, this protein study was paid for by BSN. Like,
Right. Right.
like it's better than everything. It's like, oh, cool. I guess that's nice. How much money did they put towards that? Like, I'm not saying it's not. It still works,
Right.
but it's it's not. It's one of those. It's just like it definitely has a more inflammatory response towards
Yep.
anything than like a steak does.
Agreed. Yep. Yep.
And then when you look at like the way it breaks it down, especially if you're in a deficit, especially in a deficit,
Oh yeah.
your body uses protein shakes like carbs.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Like I know you can see this. Like go get depleted and drink 50 grams of protein from isolate.
Yeah.
You get a fucking glycogen pump.
Right. Yep.
That doesn't happen if you ate 50 grams of protein from chicken.
Right.
Like common fucking sense here. Like you don't need to be a fucking wizard to realize this.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I mean, even, and I know the bad thing is you couldn't conduct this study with twins, so it almost has to be with the same person. Of where, let's say your meal two was 60 grams of whey isolate and 10 grams of fat from peanut butter. And then you mirror that with a steak. So you match those with steak, or well, for easy math, like let's just do maybe chicken and olive oil, either one of those options.
Mhm.
I can tell you this, it's a drastically different look. And I know what people say, well, Chris, it's peanuts are great for us. Like, whey isolate is perfect. I'm like, it's not the fucking same. You
No.
aren't as full, meaning your stomach's not as satiated. I don't care who you are. Like, if I drink that shake and had 16 grams of peanut butter, that's going to be through me in like 22 minutes, maybe
Yeah.
quick. And then I'm like looking at my watch, fuck, 2.5 more hours before I get to eat again. Oh, by the way, and it also took me under a minute to eat, where at least with steak or the chicken, and that's going to take me 4 to 6 minutes, maybe. Like,
Mm-hmm.
drastically different. And then my body has to break it down, as opposed to, I just dumped a fucking shitload of liquid. I've always thought about, like, you think about that, like transit time. So all the people that tend to be uh protein shake positive, that needs to be a shirt.
I'd make it.
Yeah, like protein shake positive people also are the same ones that are like, your body can only handle 30 grams of protein per fucking serving. Okay, well, if I eat a steak, it's not all getting in my system at once. It's going to take 4 to 6 hours to break down. So I'm getting slowly trickled in protein. That means I'm going to have a better opportunity to grow or get leaner. Whereas a protein shake is going to be in, and then how much that's going to come out before I shit it, like before it passes through my system, before I even absorb it. So you can't lie on that. You can't marry those two. Like, you have to pick what side. But then those people start to get on their feelings and cite 47 studies where 13-year-old prepubescent boys were weight training and put on more muscle. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. They're like these 80-year-old grandmas reacted really positively to the whey protein isolate. It's like,
Right.
who gives a shit? Like,
Right. Yes. Yes. Like,
you know. Oh, like it's just what it's funny versus like seeing it in practice is what's great.
Yes.
You know, it's like the same concept as the people who manufacture medical equipment and the people who use it.
Right. Yes.
It's always fucking funny if all the time I hear from friends in the medical field how retarded some products are.
Right.
You know, and or it's like, have they even used this before? Because chances are the person designing it didn't.
Correct. Yes.
Actually, we can talk about that with gym equipment. Like after Arthur Jones with the hammer strength Nautilus, right? And then you had the hammer strength, and then I don't remember his name. The guy who made hammer strength, he died, and his son took over the company.
Right.
From that point forward, his son did not. I don't think his son realized how things worked. The hammer strength equipment, what came after that point, is just shit.
Oh yeah. Agreed. And no one product tests them, clearly who lifts weights.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
or the guy who designs them is like 9 feet tall.
you're right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You know, here's really interesting, right? Is that whole, and again, this is gonna think I'm banging on naturals, right? But they try to refute all the things that us bigger meatheads say. And they cite all these studies, right, that are conducted on individuals that are either untrained, don't follow a strict meal plan, and they certainly don't use performance enhancing drugs like we do. So,
Yeah.
how are you going to tell me I'm wrong and cite a study that's not even about people that would do what we do? Like, you aren't
Well,
even on the same playing field as us.
well,
Like,
people even freak out with like the natural thing. You can push natural people hard.
yeah,
You can push everybody really hard. Performance enhancing drugs allow you to keep that push. You can do it harder and not as steep, right? Naturally, you have to do slower and gradual,
yes,
but you can still push the shit out of them. I mean, go take a gander at like the natural Olympia.
yeah,
Those guys are peeled out of their fucking minds.
yes, agreed.
And go take a gander at a lot of like the even like local level national shows. Like those guys they're in shape. Not many of
Yeah,
them are big, but all of them are lean. And then you come to bodybuilding shows like in the NPC thing, and you're like, why are all these people fat? You know?
yeah,
And it's like drugs can help. Keyword is can. They don't do the work for you.
no, no, they're waiting on that bottle of Trin to kick in. And
Yeah.
it never did.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I'm taking all this Clen. Yeah, well, it doesn't counteract the fucking donuts you have post lift, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Your weekly cheat meal. They're like, but I took my 100 micrograms of T3.
Doesn't work.
Like,
Yeah,
how you don't do that?
right.
You know, that one thing. That's what drives me up a wall. Is for whatever reason, in like the performance enhancing world side of things, people want to be like, I'm taking this so I don't have to do that. It's like, what would happen if you did do that? Like, I always like to think was, what would natural Dave do?
Right. Yeah.
And then I'm going to keep focusing on what natural Dave would do. And then when we add in compounds, I'm not expecting them to do the work for me. I'm just going to be like, oh, cool. This is working better. Oh,
Correct.
we added Clen. My heart rate's elevated. I can train I can bring in more oxygen. I can train a little bit harder.
Yes. Yep.
Right? Oh, cool. What does that mean? It's like I can push a little bit harder.
Yep.
And I burn more calories throughout the day. Cool. I burn a little bit more calories throughout the day.
Yep.
That's all we changed.
Yes.
Oh, we added in some androgens. Okay, cool. My body's ability to oxidize body fat goes up. It doesn't mean it's gonna just burn more body fat. I have to do things that burn body fat. Am I doing my cardio? Am I training my face off? Am I eating my fucking diet food? You know,
Yep.
all those steps get for whatever reason like, oh, I added androgens. I was like, I added trenin. Let's keep having 2 cheat meals a week. And it's like, you know,
I always had like the car reference to the body, right? Like it's like when you add supplements in a prep, it's just like stepping on the nitrous in a car, right? Like it just, as you said, makes things go more efficiently. Like you, and I think that's where a lot of people get misguided, like natural to enhance, right? Is I can keep you technically heavier body fat wise than I would keep a natural, Because I know once we add those things in, that fat's just going to melt off if you do all the work. Now, so many people are going to hear me say that and get it twisted. And like, oh, Chris is always looking for easy routes. No, no, no. What I'm trying to do is maintain performance as long and as high as I can before we have to dip down the calories to really get all of that last miserable body fat off. The stubborn shit that nothing wants to leave. Like, so I'd have to ride that out longer. If you're natural, we would just make the prep a little bit longer and do it. Like you said, it's more gradual. I can't remove 100 grams of carbs from a natural guy and not expect their performance to tank.
Yeah.
I can
And
pull 100.
if you do remove 100 grams of carbs, you have to add in 80 sometime in the week.
Correct. Yep.
You know, like, okay, cool. We're going to take out 100 grams Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we're going to add 200 back in. So we're going to only have 100 deficit. You can do shit like that.
Right.
But you can't just be like, okay, cool. Let's take out, 400 calories worth of carbs and expect you to train the same.
And have the same level of
That's how you turn people into zombies.
Correct. That's how people get turned into, like, that's where most people fuck up girls, right? They go on stage emaciated, no glutes, no shoulder cap, no back, just fucking bone. Like, oh, awesome! I can see every one of your ribs, front and back. Congratulations. Someone mismanaged the fuck out of your food.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I think a lot of times that gets very misconstrued. I mean, I think when we were in Pittsburgh, I was joking to you about that. I was like, as long as you have good GH, you can push carbs lower and stay fuller.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, like, people will see, like, if I take me for example, like, oh, how many carbs do you have today? I'm like, 75. What the fuck? Yeah, I know how to get a pump, and Sarah Stem is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I've had the same fucking shit happen with no growth hormone. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can just do it longer. So I can do longer in the deficit, in the hole, before it's like, I should probably add some food today. Like,
Yeah.
always that balancing act, no matter what you have in play or not in play. If you have nothing on the table, as you said, I've known, fuck, I'm thinking 3 natural guys that I know personally who get just as peeled, if not more peeled, than anybody I've ever worked with on Enhanced.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they know how to suffer. And
Yeah.
every one of them, fun fact, did 25 to 30 week preps.
Mm-hmm.
Wrap your mind around that. A half of a year plus.
Yeah.
Slow and gradual.
It blows my mind how many times I go to bodybuilding shows and people are, or they post about it. They're like, I did my 10-week prep and it was difficult. I didn't have any food off plan for 10 weeks and was like, that's it.
Yep.
Like, what happens if you bump that up to 20?
Right.
Or like you said, 30.
Right.
Like, and you're wondering why people progress faster than you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like just people aren't willing to do that hard shit anymore. They want the weekly cheat meal. They want the chronic refeeds. They want the the dopamine hits from all the cheats they can have.
Yep.
And they don't want to do the shit what's not glamorous.
Yes.
It's not going to be super glamorous to wake up every day and do your necessary cardio, set your meals aside and eat them.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, cool. It might be more pretty to be like, okay, cool. I made breakfast at home, but then I went out and I macro match these meals so I can do things with make myself feel good about it. It's like, you can definitely do that, but is it going to be the best scenario? And there might be a time and place for that. Like, fuck, if it's the off season, like, like, you can definitely eat, you can go out to a steakhouse and order some fucking chicken.
Yes.
That's not going to kill you. Chicken, some sweet potato, like, you're going to eat it fucking anyways.
Right.
But doing that all the time or in prep and having all these random variables when you're trying to manage, that's where you get really confused.
2 things come to mind here. One, I'm gonna tell a quick story about a buddy of mine. He always gotten, I would say, like 90 to 92% shape. But he was one of those guys who he had a fuck ton of muscle, but he was a family guy. So, like, for example, on Sunday morning, if his coach had him eating egg whites, they go to Waffle House or IHOP, and he would just like, hey, can you give me a plate of egg whites and not cook it in butter? And so that was his breakfast. In his mind, he was nailing it. And I was like, man, my OCD is too extreme for that.
Yeah, mine's bad. Well, fun fact: IHOP actually cooks their eggs and egg whites with pancake batter in it.
Oh, shit. Yeah, right. I did
They
not know
do
that.
that to make it. They do that to make it fluffier,
Ah, okay.
and you
Yeah.
can't really say no to that. Like it's happening.
Okay.
It's like it's in the mix. So
Yeah.
like your protein, your egg whites, what are basically a protein only food, now have carbs in them,
Yeah.
which isn't terrible. I mean, it's not like a fuck ton of pancake batter, but like you didn't know it was in there. Well, it's the same thing as like my buddy Bella. She just posted about it. All the coffee places where people are getting their sugar-free syrups.
Okay.
The
Yep.
syrups are made with sugar alcohol, but they still have cocoa powder. They still have all the things in there. And they still have like 20 grams of carbs per pump.
Mm.
And yes, they are made with erythritol or whatever those the syrups, not like but they have other shit in them. It's like it still has 20 grams of carbs in it per pump. And you're like, oh, cool. Can I get 3 pumps of vanilla frappuccino sugar free? And it's like you just added 60 grams of carbs to your coffee, and you're wondering why you're not getting in shape. Like you're like, wow, this thing tastes fucking delicious. I'm on prep and it's sugar free. And it's like you might want to know those things.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. I don't know if you remember, it was a few years ago where Nick Walker had that YouTube video where he went to Starbucks and had this very elaborate drink.
Uh-huh.
It's like, 3 pumps of this and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, hell yeah. I was in prep at the time. I think it was 2019 with John. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go get that and just sip on it. Man, I drank half of that and it was like a fucking volcano out of my ass. And my
Yeah.
stomach started feeling horrible.
Uh-huh.
For the next 48 hours, my stomach was wrecked.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, nope, never again.
Yeah.
Like something in there is not agreeing with me. Like,
Yeah.
and to think, because I remember that was really popular and everyone was tagging him in it. And I'm like, all these people in prep are smashing that. I don't believe I'm the only person that happens to.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you might be able to cut down on some of cut that recipe down on the total sugar alcohols, but that's just like the mechanism of action. If it is a xylitol or sorbitol, it is a sugar alcohol, which your body doesn't know how to digest and it has to go through you.
yeah. Oh yeah. It was, I mean, it
So
was,
yeah, it's just gonna cause just rapid transit.
yeah.
And
Oh
that's
yeah.
a very well documented thing. And like we were talking about, you don't want that to happen in prep because it's taking all the other food in your system too.
Oh yeah.
So that meal you ate that with is getting right into the garbage can or your toilet, however you want to put that.
Right. Yes.
And you're pretty much starving now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And you're wondering why muscle loss is going to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
That food that you ate, that 400 calorie meal with it's low calorie or whatever,
Yeah.
got turned into 100 calories, and there's no way of knowing how much to replace of it.
Agreed. Yes.
That's why digestive health is so important.
Yeah.
If you go into a prep and you're like shitting your brains out, probably an awesome idea to change something.
Right.
Voice the concern, be like, hello, I have a question. Coach, my asshole hurts because of this. It's like, okay, cool. We need to fix this before we can prep.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's
Too many
I don't
girls
think
look at
enough
that.
people realize that like you can't have huge issues like that leading into things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
going back and just like the health of things, like bodybuilding is not a healthy sport.
Right.
But to progress with bodybuilding, you have to be healthy. So it's that nice wall. Like if you push things too far, you're not going to progress.
Yes.
You don't push things far enough, you're not going to progress. But if you're not eating healthy and you're not doing necessary, habits, right? If you let your blood pressure go through the fucking roof year round, your kidneys are going to give up. And
Yeah.
then what happens when your kidneys don't work functionally? You're not going to get dry. Doesn't matter how well you fucking peak. If your kidneys don't work, you're not going to be fucking dry.
Yes.
So if you're not at least big and you're not dry, good luck.
Yeah, no shit. Small and soft never wins.
Yeah.
Now, you did touch on something about cheat meals that I thought I would talk to people about, and I'll share a story from my end and to you. Like one of the first, I think it was the very first prep I ever did with Shelby. He was like, let's do a long prep because I was still natural at the time. And I think we did 27 weeks to the second show, and we get 16 weeks in, and in his update response back to me, he's like, "When's the last time you had a free meal?" "Last week." And I was like, 16 weeks ago. And he was like, "Why didn't you ask me about it?" I'm like, "We didn't. It wasn't on my plan, so I just thought we weren't doing one." And he's like, "Oh no, like let's start adding those back in once a week." Now, I think very similarly, you said to me, like, in retrospect, you thought I was always going to give you a free meal the first prep you did with me, and I just never talked about it.
Oh yeah, I thought that was really funny actually because I didn't know what to expect, and
Right?
I've watched other coaches for years. You know, and they always client gets a free meal,
Right.
and like it just never happens. I was like, oh, that makes sense. You know, I got in shape. We did what we're supposed to do. You know, but it's never going to be especially like you know, it depends on how well your body's responding, right?
Yeah.
Like and like in my opinion, there's well, I guess there's three reasons why you could give someone a big surplus, right? You got the dopamine hit you could fix, right? If someone's just, you know, sometimes someone just needs to have time with their friends and family, and that changes a huge thing drastically. And then when you get that food in there and it's just like they feel good, and then them feeling good resets their progress
Correct. Yes.
because they needed a little bit of a dopamine hit. It was just that, right? Second reason would be the glucose, like just fixing that glycogen and let him progress that way. And then the last thing I even think of it just be like a high protein feeding
Yeah.
in some rare cases where you might just need more protein.
Yep. Yep.
And but that one's not as common. But I mean, so like free meals, it kind of depends. Like, and if you're like me and you, like I feel like we've gotten rid of our attachment to food. So like the get dopamine out of it, like we'd have to do something drastic. You know, like you know, like I don't even want to think of what we'd have to do for that, but
Right.
gonna have to get have your wife give you a blowjob while eating a donut.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Just shoving food in and getting my dick sucked. Yeah, this is incredible.
Right. But like this is a great day. But
Yeah.
other than that, like
I forgot I was even prepping.
yeah.
Can I do this every Friday? Yep. And the next thing you know, you're like, I'm gonna try not to shit my pants while she's doing this, and I'm eating.
Yeah.
Can you hold my sauce like my ranch so I can dip my food in it? Yeah, like so. I mean, what's funny, right, is we've had some preps with you where I've given you like back-to-back Five Guys meals. Like I've definitely given you cheat meals. Um, I've given you reloads more frequently or
Uh-huh.
more common because I'm always in the mindset like, and maybe this is because Matt Porter ingrained this into my brain. He was like, "Chris, you don't need a free meal until the fat's off."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Fuck, that's right." Like I mean, he swore by that shit. Like
Mhm.
he's like, until you look creepy, you don't need a cheat meal. And now he was a big believer in high carb days, obviously. But like the free meals that he started instilling in me, like, and this was wild because you just said a high protein free meal. So I think I've shared this with you. Like he used to have me make this like fat-free pizza with a pound of ground turkey.
Yeah.
So my protein was through the fucking roof. Like, and
Yeah.
it was like a bag of fat-free cheese, which I'm not saying that protein is going to get assimilated to muscle tissue, but all of that plus that crust was like sourdough, so it's going to be higher in protein. Again, that's from gluten, so it's probably not going to be right. But listen, at the end of the day, I had a pound of ground turkey, 99% lean. Like
Mhm.
that's a lot at one sitting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, your body does some cool things too with the high protein feeding thing. It's really funny because people talk about you can only absorb 25 grams of protein. It's like, well, you get a really good response if you eat like double that.
yes, yeah, oh
You
yeah,
know? And it's not, it doesn't really have a cutoff. It just
no,
depends on how well you can absorb it.
correct. And what I loved about that day in general is he had me train twice that day.
Oh yeah.
And it was like high carbs all day. And then after my second training session, it was I think I've told you this. It's like it was 60 grams of whey isolate with 100 grams of frozen pineapple, and then it was two McDonald's ice cream cones on the way home
Yeah.
from the gym. So
Yeah.
get all your intra, which I think at the time was like 50 grams for the second session. So you'd have 50 grams of carbs intra with 15 grams essentials, and you would go have the 60-gram ISO with the pineapple and the ice cream cones. And then he's like, immediately drive home and I want you to make that pizza. So that would take
Mhm.
me like by the time you get home from there, like probably 30 to 45 minutes to where I was cooking it in the oven and then into my mouth was about 45 minutes. So you figure I
Mhm.
had 60 grams of whey isolate. And then less than an hour later, I was having 100 gram, or let's see, I think it was just over 100 grams of protein from turkey.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, those the McDonald's ice cream cones are like key.
Oh, so good. Yeah. There was one day he gave me four of them because I
Yeah.
was completely like a motherfucker. And I was like,
Yeah.
I go through the drive through and the guy was like, "You taking this home to some kids?" I'm like, "No, sir."
I think you had me do it was either 3 or 4
Right. Yeah.
back in like I want to say that was 2018.
Right.
And then I went home. I had those and went home and had steak and shrimp
Yes. Yep.
and rice. And it was
Yep.
like the best day ever.
So good. Yeah. Those,
But
I
the
mean,
guy that he's like, what? Just by myself in the car. I got like 3 of them. He's like, that's it. Yep.
you need three ice cream bros, bro. Nothing else. Nothing else. Like, and the great thing about that is I remember them giving me like a little bit of digestive stress, like farting. But outside of
Yeah.
that, they went down. Like it was so enjoyable to eat post lift because you're like dripping sweat, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I used to blend my shake at the
That
gym.
it's that. There's the dopamine. We found it.
Yeah, right. Yes. Right. Right. Oh, it was so good because it was like that frozen pineapple in the vanilla whey isolate. It was just
Yeah.
a nice little smoothie. And I'd just drink that on the way to the McDonald's, which was like right across the street from the gym,
Yeah.
and hammer those on the way home. And it's like, oh, cool. Now I get to make me this big gourmet pizza. Like it was, it was actually an enjoyable like 3 hour window of like training to, well, I'll just say it, like training, insulin, growth hormone, insulin, and then fucking all that food. So it's like
Hmm.
I feel like a, I feel like an actual real life bodybuilder, and you just feel like your body would just go like this. So
Hmm.
it
I
was a,
remember a couple off seasons ago. This was a couple years ago, but the gym I was training at, Dialed in Fitness here in Utah, at the end of the parking lot was a frozen yogurt place,
oh yeah,
and that was like on my if I did a free meal that week, I would leave training and I would go get whatever I wanted from the yogurt place,
right.
and then start eating it on the drive home. But like wasn't able to eat too much of it. I'd get like a vat, by the way,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
I just put cookies and brownies in there,
right.
and then I'd go home and just big ass steak and rice.
Oh yeah,
And that was like my free meal. But it was like just I just blended that time together.
yes, yeah. Oh yeah. And it's like I remember doing that, and Angela's like, "God, you really look forward to this." Like I remember her saying to me that was the one of the first preps she ever saw me enjoy. And it's because it was like it's the best I'd ever looked, and just the way he rotated my food and then challenged me mentally. Like I'm gonna make you train 8 to 10 times a week, do double session cardio, and I'm gonna feed you aggressive as fuck 2 days a week. Like,
Yeah.
and I just love that because it was like suffer, enjoy, suffer, 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 mega enjoy. And it was like each week, like the food on the base days were getting lower, the cardio was going up, but my high days were getting higher. And it's like, man, I gotta be miserable for a couple days. This is easy. Like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Prime your digestion and you load all that fucking food in there. Like, I remember that was like one of the very first preps. I'm like, man, this is fucking fun again. Like, I
Yeah.
love it.
I had a kid I did a prep with, and I like skip loaded it into the show.
Oh yeah.
And like I kid you not, dude, on the day what he had food, we were at like 900 grams of carbs and like 140 grams of fat that
Oh,
day. Just
jeez.
a fucking day.
Right.
And then like he would have like 4 days of low before he was like, and he would just look better. Like by the fourth day, he was just hard and nasty again. And it was like, all right, cool, do that, and then he'd be lower than he was the time before the skip load. It was like, well, this is working fantastic. And he was just loving life because he's just getting like
Yeah.
a shit ton of food for that kid too, by the way.
Right. Yeah. That just works so well for people psychologically too, I think.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like, it's 3 or 4 days of hard, and then you get relief. And it's like, oh, hell yeah. Now, you and I both know sometimes those high days you end up being hungrier than the
Oh,
low
yeah.
days.
That's like the
Like,
curse. You're like,
right,
how do I have 800 plus grams of carbs today? I'm fucking starving.
right. Yeah.
You eat a meal and you're like, how the hell is that gone?
Yeah. Because I mean, and I know this, but I like, let's say I'm gonna load on a Friday and it's like Thursday, and you're like, oh hell yeah. Like tomorrow it's gonna be so great. I'm gonna be full the whole day. And you wake up, you're like, huh, meal one didn't even touch my hunger. Meal two, I'm actually hungrier. Meal three ran right through me. Like, man, that was not any easier. I'm just as hungry.
Yeah.
But again, that
Yeah.
goes back to knowing how your digestion is just perfect. In my mind, like I've always related that, like, well, do you want slow train to time? Do you want it not to instantly go into your body and get a huge pump feeling? No, we want it instantly. So yeah, that's such a cool dieting technique once the body starts responding like that. Which is why I tend to try to lean to get people to do that if they can, hey, take it psychologically. Where I think sometimes I've had guys and girls just go off the rails in those high days, and they're like, "Oh, well, I had the food you said plus," and I'm like, "Fuck." Okay.
Why?
Right. Yeah, or I had a guy once, like he came in and like me, I'm gonna peek over his shoulder. Like he was supposed to have 250 grams of rice and it was like 255. I was like, you gonna fix that? Fix what? Well, that was 255. It's close enough. No.
Like, why are you even putting on the scale at this point? Just fucking eyeball it.
I literally put my fingers in there and went, boop. He's like, fuck you, man. No, I said two. If I wanted 255, I'd have said 255. And I don't know the math on 255. So fuck off. I,
Right.
I know that 250 is 68 grams. Just eat it and shut the fuck up. Or listen, guys are like, you get down to the bottom of like an almond butter and they said I told you to eat 20 grams and it's like 28 grams to finish the bottle and they're finishing that shit. I'm like, oh, why? Just scoop it into the next jar, bro.
Yeah.
Like, just top it off. So I think we've adequately covered everything today. We still had one topic you said. We'll save that for next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think finishing up this talk as a whole is the basics always work. If you're a beginner, spend time cementing your foundation, and all of this shit becomes easy when you're 5, 10, 20 years into this. Because then it's just part of your life and it's easy and you don't think twice about it. Where I think that's where so many people fuck up is they always like are finding ways to skirt around hard shit where it's like, just get used to it. Like
Yeah,
there's a
exactly.
there's a reason we have calluses on our hands. Like like
Yeah.
they don't hurt anymore. It doesn't hurt when we pick bars and dumbbells up. Like the skin's used to it. Where I'm sure at the beginning, I don't really remember the first time I ever put my hands on a gnarling, it probably hurt. Like, or didn't feel great. Now you don't even feel that shit. It's the
Yeah.
same
Well,
difference.
it depends. We just got a brand new Texas Power Bar at the refinery. The knurling on
Overheating.
that, is like wild. Like it's like legit sandpaper.
Right. Yeah.
But like someone come use this and get your calluses in there, so it's not as.
It does one of the things where it's like digs into your skin. You're like,
Yeah,
awesome.
you're like, I'm not gonna be able to let go of this.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's not a good bar. But yeah, it's like to me, it's always the simple, right? Like if you can bare bones everything and get the most out of the least, that's always the answer.
Oh, exactly.
I just had that post on Instagram about like you just stop running from pain and embrace it. Like don't eat extra food, don't eat extra vegetables. Oh, Chris, well, it's not a difference of 75 grams of green beans to 100. I don't fucking believe there isn't. If I didn't believe that, I would have wrote 100 grams in there or 68 or 42. Like, eat the fucking amount, make it precise, and if you have to get scissors out and cut shit, do it. Like, I mean, I know you and I are on the same page. Like, we will fuck around with that scale until it says perfect. One under, one over is not compliant. And
Yeah.
if you're the
I've
one,
ranted about that so many times. Like it drives me up a wall. Like I don't care if you eyeballed your meal and it was close.
yeah,
A, a guest meal is a free meal.
correct. Yes. Yeah. With those individuals, I always want to say, hey, if you can eyeball it, prove it. Eyeball the food and then measure it. Tell me, show me how close you are. And then do the math on it. Like, let's say you're over 0.5 ounces, which you and I
Mhm.
both know it's probably not that close, but let's say it is. Over the course of 6 meals, how many total ounces is that? Over the course of the week, how many total? How many over the course of the year is that?
Mhm.
And then you start adding that up, and it's like, huh, well, you could be that much percentage better or more accurate, however you want to look at that. Because to me, accuracy equals a better look. Because if you let's
Mhm.
say you always were eating 6.5 ounces of the chicken as opposed to six, that'd be good information to know. Right? like
Yep.
stop getting close and just be there. Like why even turn the scale on if it's not going to be perfect? Is
Yep.
my thought. Like I've cut a
Yep.
fucking blueberry in half.
Oh, dude, the weighing out 150 grams of banana sometimes pisses me off. My girlfriend always wonders why there's a half a banana somewhere in the house.
It's like one big one and this much.
Yeah.
Right. Or, I mean, you know what's really interesting? Like when we were in Pittsburgh, or maybe it was in Ohio together, like we found those big ass apples.
Yeah.
That was like 400 grams. Well, you and I like could have probably easily just said, just eat the whole thing. It's an
Yeah.
apple. No, we cut off 200 grams and put the rest in the fridge. Came back to it later or
Hmm.
tomorrow. Or for me at the time, it was like maybe 4 days from now. Like,
Yeah.
not a big deal. It's not. I don't care. If I want 200 grams of apple or 28 grams of carbs, like look at that, that's what I'm gonna fucking eat.
Hmm.
Like, if I wanted more, my plan would have more. And I think a lot of times that's what people just get wrong is, well, I don't want to throw food away, Chris. Then don't put it in the fridge or give it to your kids or give it to your wife or girlfriend. Simple as that.
Hmm.
It's where it end. Be perfect.
Right.
Why even try? Stop it. You hired a coach, you have a plan, nail it or quit. Or hire somebody else that doesn't measure. Lots of people out there, but enjoy being normal.
Yeah. Yeah. You can definitely find a coach who'll be okay with it.
Yeah,
Chances are you probably won't be your best.
I'll tell a great story before we get off here. One of the guys who I have competing in 4 weeks looks creepy right now.
Hmm.
It's his second prep with me. The first one he struggled with because his previous coach never made him measure anything.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, so what would he say? He'd be like, meal one, a couple whole eggs, some egg whites, and oatmeal. And I was like, well, how much is some oatmeal? And he's like, just a normal bowl. What's a normal bowl? And he's like, my next meal was like chicken and rice. And I'm like, well, how much chicken and how much rice? And he's like a normal amount. I'm like, what's a normal amount?
I would be the biggest fat kid. If you told me to have egg whites and a bowl of oatmeal, it'd be like I'd have 400 grams of egg whites and 140 grams of raw oats,
Yeah. Right. And I always
and it
think,
would be gone.
yes. I mean, envision this. Like you're getting ready for your pre-lift meal. You are hungry. Let's say something at work came up and you had to like push that meal to like 3.5 hours. I
Mhm.
don't care who you are in that depleted state. If you aren't batshit crazy, you're going to have a huge bowl of rice and chicken.
Mhm.
Because you're going to justify it. I haven't eaten in 3.5 hours. He said chicken and rice. I can't get fat off of it. Like, load it up. At the
Mhm.
end of the day, you might have 10 ounces of chicken and 450 grams of rice.
Yeah.
That's way different than if I wanted you to have 8 ounces and 225 grams. Like, or imagine post lift, and let's say today you have insulin and you have GH in there. Post lift, you're gonna crush food. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. Imagine hitting legs, or no, maybe not legs, because it might give you some upset stomach. Let's say you hammered back with a buddy. I promise, if you don't have a cap, even if it's steak and potatoes or fish and rice or egg whites and oatmeal, you're going to overeat because you have no guideline, you have no parameter. Or you're going to be, to me, I always think it both ways. Or you're going to be like, man, I got a lot of fat to get off. I'm going to undereat. Then suddenly you're having a cup of egg whites and 20 grams of oats, and you're wondering why your muscles are disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically I had egg whites and oatmeal. Or I could do like you said and have 4 cups of egg whites and the most mountainous bowl of oatmeal you've ever seen. Two very different things. So
Mm-hmm.
measure your food. I can tell you, if he gets literally, which I think he's going to be stupid, like, well, maybe we'll have him on and I'll have him talk about the difference between
Mm-hmm.
what it was like then versus now. Because his first
Yeah.
prep, he kicked serious ass into those final like 3 to 4 weeks and then just lost it because he wasn't used to being hungry like that.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't take it. And he was like, this is fucking horrible. Like, I want out. And like, it's just a mindset. And then this time he was like, I want to do this. I want to fully listen to you. Hell yeah,
Mm-hmm.
let's attack. And it's a completely different mindset as I was talking, like, just welcome every day, man. Just welcome every day. And that's what he's done. He looks stupid. So the power of precision always works
Yep.
because then we can make modifications if things don't go the right way. If you're too flat, more food. If you're too full, less food. Easy, simple. That's why you and I make money doing this on the internet. So,
Mm-hmm. Very true.
until next time, Chris and Little Dave, we are done.